Located just outside the city, this next home was designed to recreate the traditional townhouse experience. Entering the home, the orientation is long and goes up several floors. The high ceiling brings in light while creating a sense of space. The design is experimental, pushing the imagination as art and geometric patterns cover the interior. In the living area, pops of purple and yellow strike the eye. A couch made of woven fabric is at the center. Behind it is a lamp called Pamana, whose design was meant to resemble a bird in flight. Covering the whole area is a unique lighting design. Random triangle patterns were cut into boards and backlit, giving a very distinct lighting effect. In the dining, we have a painting by Jonathan Ching and a sculpture by Danielle de la Cruz. Dark tones complement the dark glass dining table at the center. The daughter's room and office are connected by glass doors. Both have large windows on opposite sides, allowing a lot of light to enter. In the daughter's room, the purple tones carry over. On the wall, an artist's interpretation of the daughter's name, which means, with favor and grace from God. Entering the office, you are immediately caught by a vibrant installation. This design is an original by the man of the house. The office has muted tones, but pops of color and shapes continue throughout. Hi, I'm here with Jason Buensalido. Jason, thank you for having me tour your home.
Thanks for coming over.
So, would you tell me a little bit about the overarching theme of your home? Please share what were the key ideas.
Yeah, so when my wife and I got married, we really wanted a home of positive possibilities. We wanted all of the spaces to be a celebration of life, to just be thankful of all of our blessings on a daily basis, because eventually we would have a kid, a baby, and so we wanted our baby to grow up in a place like that. Not only her, but also even ourselves, because there's a definition of, most people think that happiness can be achieved if you attain something, when in reality it actually starts from within, right? That you have to change your mindset, so that you can be internally happy, so that you can attain your goals and things like that. So this sort of optimism, this hopeful nature is what we wanted the interior spaces to feel like.
That's lovely. Yeah. I really love the theme. And you built this and designed the concept before having a child.
Exactly. So when we moved in 2012, if I recall correctly, it didn't look like this. What we focused first is really the interior architecture. Okay. So all of the walls, the ceiling, not even the floor actually, we focused on building that and sort of had a master plan of how the spaces could look like, so that when we come across a furniture that we like over time, we can acquire it and purchase it, so that, in fact, even until now, it's still evolving.
That's fantastic. Yeah. It's actually very similar to my place.
Great,
I find it change year after year as my life evolves.
Yeah.
And because it becomes really representative of who you are as a family. Yeah. So I enter and I'm very impressed by this double height ceiling.
Yes. Thank you.
Was this really part of the plan from the very beginning? And did you think of it as like a waste because you needed more space, or was that really important for you to insert in the design?
That bit is a really important sort of design aspect in the spatial experience of the house. Is because when you enter, even if it's actually not an enormous space, you feel the expanse of it because of the double height ceiling.
Yeah.
And if you remember, we talked about expansion in the future. This is actually one way to expand in the future. So you can actually close off the double height space if you want to expand the studio, the hobby loft above, and convert it into a bedroom if you want.
So potentially put a ceiling here and
put
expand.
A floor. Yeah, exactly. And the ceiling
very clever.
Yeah. And in fact, we presented that to the buyers. And so they saw, again, the potential in this space.
It's a lot of potential because they can be creative and it can really transform with the needs of a family. And what I also love about the double height ceiling is, of course, the light that comes in.
Yeah,
but you had another clever idea and brought light in a different way through these panels.
Yeah,
incredible geometry here,
Thank
incredible use of geometry, cabinetry, space-saving techniques. Tell me how you came about this.
So again, the idea is optimism and hope and celebration. So what we did is we imagined a pattern, right, that you typically see in Filipino fiestas. So a lot of triangles, typically the flaglets, the banderitas, right? So that whenever you go inside, you feel like you're celebrating something. It's an uplifting sort of spirit that you feel inside the space. And at night, what you do is actually behind those cutouts, you have strategic lighting that we put in place so that depending on the number of lights that you turn on, it actually casts a dramatic pattern of shadows on the floor, on the ceiling. So if you turn on one light, it's one pattern. If you turn on all the lights, it's another pattern. So it's, again, an ever-changing sort of environment that we come home to.
And then you can create different moods
as
well.
Yeah.
Family time, party time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And it's also multifunctional. It's not only aesthetic, it's not only for the emotional aspect of the space, but it's functional. Exactly. Knowing that it's a tight space, it's a townhouse, we converted it also into storage. So all the way up, you can actually store your different things that you accumulate over time.
Absolutely. I notice a lot of geometric patterns here on the ground floor. Have you always been interested in contemporary design and translating it also into the loose furniture pieces?
Correct, yeah. Contemporary design is actually the only thing that we do as designers, as architects. And the reason for that is that we believe that architecture and design, for that matter, should simply be a response to context and a reflection of context. And current culture, contemporary culture, contemporary materials, modern materials are all part of the context. So we tend to use all of those things in our designs. Yeah.
It's quite unusual, actually, and I like that you played around with unusual color combinations as well.
Yeah.
You have the purple and the yellow, the aubergine as well. Are these your favorite colors? How did this come about?
Well, for some reason, I just can't explain, but I'm always drawn to plum for some reason. So, you have shades of that. And no special reason.
No special.
Like even the artwork that you'll see here, they seem to, sort of match. But in reality, we just got piece per piece because we could relate to them, not because they would match. We don't get art for the purpose of matching it in the space or just to make sure that it would make the space whole, but because we want the art, because we see ourselves in the art piece, and that's the reason why we get it.
I can imagine you're very visual people, and
Definitely.
So sometimes you just say, I'm keen, I love this piece.
Exactly, yeah.
And I need it in my home, and I'll make a way.
Yeah.
I'll find a way to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's move upstairs.
Okay.
Here we are in the penthouse of your home. Would you share with us the overarching theme of your home?
So when my wife and I were starting to discuss of what we wanted the home to feel like, we both agreed that first, it's a source of hope, a source of optimism. Second is we wanted it to be a home of creativity, and that's why you have a lot of artwork here, because we love seeing this world through the different artists' eyes, because they see alternate realities, and when we actually come back to this world, we are now filled with a lot of different solutions, possibilities, where we now can employ it in our own design practice. And I think last is that we wanted it to be a space of freedom. That's why when we design the spaces, we're not sort of bound by rules. Like when a piece is attractive to us, when we can relate to a piece, then we get that piece, and by seeing all of these pieces that we can relate to, then we feel free.
Jason, I think that is very well said. I love the fact that you're both creatives, you and your wife, and yet you still bring creativity from others to your home. So I think that really stimulates you and your wife, right, as artists. I also love the positivity, because as you said, when you come home from a long day of work, it's so nice to come to a happy home. Coming up, I did discover a lot of fun pockets and a lot of interesting artwork. There's also a deck outside.
Right.
All of these different spaces, did you think about them in the master plan?
Absolutely. When my wife and I were starting to conceptualize what we wanted for ourselves, for our own home, we had a sort of master plan, though we weren't able to implement it right away. But over time, we just simply followed that master plan, and it led to a space that is a clear reflection of both our desires and dreams.
You can see the different layers, right? So from the ground floor, you walk up, then you have like a little mezzanine that you like to call your hobby.
Yeah, the hobby loft, where I put all my art, and then you walk out. We have what we call a sky garden, which is essentially a pocket garden. It's sort of hovering over the carport, and then we filled it up with plants.
And I noticed they were all potted plants, and I thought that was very clever as well, because that's such an easy way to add some green to your home with minimal maintenance.
Definitely. Right? There's no danger for, leaks. You don't have any headaches from the waterproofing and so on. So that's exactly what we did. Yeah.
Then you go upstairs and it's Annika's room.
Yeah, so we go upstairs. We're now on the second floor. That's Annika's room. That actually used to be the master's bedroom. It was 5 meters high, but we put in some structural beams to accommodate another floor. So we converted that into Annika's room, our daughter. And then going up is my own home office, where we sometimes work. We sometimes have a massage there, right? And then it leads to the master's bedroom. So that's on the 3rd floor.
And again, you have light through and through in the master's floor.
And if you notice, that's one of the major reasons why all of our doors are glass, right? Whether it's clear glass or frosted glass, you have the privacy, right, when it's closed, but you have natural light that's coming in.
Yes, that's very important, I guess, in apartment living and also townhouse living.
Definitely.
I noticed also the mirrors, the tinted mirrors on the ground floor.
Right, yeah.
And, I thought that's just another great tip to expand the space.
Yeah.
Because obviously townhouses are more narrow.
Yeah.
And so you've managed to add that 3rd dimension and that additional layer to make it just feel more expansive.
Yeah. What you said.
And then you go up and we're here in this fantastic penthouse.
And we're actually the highest house in this whole village.
Okay.
So, almost every night you can see the fort skyline from here. You can see the skyline of even the village from here. So it becomes a very private space, so you don't actually have to close or draw the curtains if you want privacy.
Indeed. Yeah. And you have a good vantage point. You spy on your neighbors.
Right, yep. I have to buy a telescope.
So we're talking about building and developing a dream home.
Right.
What would you share with our viewers? Important tips on how to conceptualize, how to design it, and eventually how to execute it.
Yeah, so I think first what's most important is that you agree, you verbalize, and you even visualize your values as a family. Because, coming from 2 separate families, when you come together in marriage, then you have to share certain values. So you have to agree, because those values are your sifters when you make decisions in anything, whether it's where your daughter's gonna go to school, where your son's gonna, who the barkada is, but most importantly, your home, right? So first have those values intact, agree on that, and that becomes your guide going forward. But for a home, now the physicality of your home, you need to come up with a plan, an overarching plan, a master plan of sorts that you don't have to implement in one go. That can just be your guide as you progress in life. As you evolve, of course, the plan can change, but it becomes your sort of guide as you move forward.
Yes, I think it's so interesting, and it's like you said, it gives a lot of possibility to the homeowners. You're not just fixed in one space. And in the beginning, when you think, what was the space of the ground floor? 75.
The lot area is about 75 square meters.
75 square meters. Some people who may not know architecture and design may be afraid and think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be stuck in this small space. And yet, in that space, we've managed to really expand it and create so many possibilities that I can imagine many different types of families, people working in different industries, developing something fantastic and very comfortable for themselves here.
And that's where creativity, I think, comes in, is because if you apply creativity to a very specific challenge, like the tightness of a particular space, then like what you said, a lot of solutions can negate the challenge of tightness. Like, for example, a lot of pockets in this space. Like
it is a challenge, as you mentioned, but you've definitely turned it the other way around. And I think you've managed to win the battle here. And it's just, you've really transformed this space. Again, it's not just aesthetically beautiful and very fit for your creative family, but it's also very functional too.
Thank you.
Jason, I'm very inspired by this visit.
Thank you.
Thank you for enlightening us and sharing with us a lot of your knowledge on architecture and how you designed this fantastic townhouse.
It was my pleasure.